operation to scan your attendance. Okay, today, as I mentioned yesterday, we're going to cover chapter 14, whereby for chapter 14, we're going to focus on the operation management for the technology entrepreneurship or technology entrepreneurs, technology-based firms. So, semua dah scan dah? Cepat scan, baru 11 orang ni. So, apa khabar semua? Dah makan ke belum? So today basically the first day of the second MCO. Macam mana you duduk kat rumah je ke? I mean, Alhamdulillah good. Okay. So dekat sini it happened to be pagi tadi saya nak jogging. Rupa-rupanya semua taman-taman rekreasi tutup Taman apa? Kalau kat Johor ni ada Tasik Merdeka, Hutan Bandar. Tu semua tutup. So saya terpaksa patah balik. Okay. So saya nak share je apa lagi? So you all ni jogging ke tak ni? Guys, how basically you take care of yourself? You buat physical activity tak? Iqbal, mana Iqbal? Apa yang awak buat untuk menjaga kesihatan awak?
Saya main futsal dah.
Mana boleh main futsal sekarang? So, apa awak nak buat?
Saya main FIFA.
FIFA apa? Video game?
Yes.
So, Naufal, how you taking care of yourself sekarang ni? Apa you buat? Iza?
Home workout, dokter.
Main buat apa?
Home workout.
Oh, you workout. Home workout. So
Yeah.
how basically you do home workout? You buat
Apa tu, dokter?
home workout tu you buat apa? Boxing. Boxing
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think even though we actually stranded at our house and have this kind of physical activities limitation, but technology is going to help. Okay, so you boleh guna many kind of apps to guide you. For example, saya tengok sekarang ada banyak apps pasal fitness, app pasal exercise. Okay, and then people are using this kind of video to guide you. Semua ada. Okay, so saya nak pergi laju je. We're going to discuss with regard to chapter 14. Saya stop dulu. Wait Mana ni? So chapter 14, you need to know the gist of chapter 14. Okay, management of operation. I believe you have learned this before. However, we're going to focus on the aspect of technology entrepreneurship perspective. Okay, real intelligence is a creative use of knowledge, not merely an accumulation of facts. So that's basically the quote that being given here. So how do new firms build a set of operational processes that serve to create, make, and provide the product to the customers? First of all, you need to understand when we focusing on the operation management, it's about the transformation from business input to the business output. Okay, so a new venture needs to design a set of operational processes that will enable them to build, store, and ship the product provided to the customers. Like I mentioned before, you should know that's the reason why the previous chapter we discussed about resources, and right now, how are we going to manage the resources? We produce it, and finally, we deliver the output to the customers. New businesses build a supply. Saya lupa buka kamera. A supply chain of partners that add value at each stage, the assembly or manufacture of the product. So that's actually the management of operation. You should really understand this. Okay, and then we go next. Okay, a value chain is a series of activity for transforming input into output that customers value. So having said that, if you remember yesterday, I asked you to focus on the process flow chart. Under the process flow chart, basically we try to understand what the main activities that need to be conducted, and then this definitely reflecting the value chain of the company. So the sample of the value chain is like this. Okay, so if you look here, it started from the activities of R&D that focusing on applied research. Okay, I believe you actually at this juncture should be able to understand the difference between applied research, fundamental research, okay? Because not all research basically have similar kind of what we call it output, okay? For example, kita ada juga panggil translational research, okay? Translational research particularly in the community. So whatever that being conducted, we hope that it could be translated for the benefit of community, okay? And then that's actually we will fall under applied research. Ada juga certain research basically is not could be applied directly. So this is what we call as fundamental research. Okay. Macam dekat university, so basically we are focusing on fundamental research. Not many grant basically focusing on applied. Contoh applied ni kadang-kadang dah ada prototype base. That means ada yang, for example, there are certain research focusing on to uncover new knowledge. That's basically very theoretical and fundamental research. There are another research that you should understand. They're focusing on apply. Ini contoh macam gini lah. So apply that means they come up with product design. Okay, ni kalau dalam manufacturing lah, for example, if they're focusing on the prototype. Okay, so that means they run a research and it's proven true, and then the next stage basically to commercialize the product. Kalau you tengok dekat sini more or less similar lah. Product design and then process design, and then we discuss about logistic, manufacturing, and after the product being produced, so we go to the next stage, which is marketing and sales, and then distribution, sell and service, and customers. So having said that, it's going to be a very lengthy or long process that need to be conducted by the firm. Okay, and sometimes kalau you tengok dekat sini, they require a lot of information. Okay, this is we discuss about value chain. Operation basically referring to the series of actions. You should know if you want to produce product, what basically action or activities that you need to do. Okay, and in order to do that, that's the reason why you require the skill what we call as operation management. How you actually organize from one action, from one activities, go to the next activities could be done smoothly. Okay, so this actually referring to the supervising, monitoring, coordinating of the activities of the firm carry out along the value chain. Okay, so that's depending. For example, later maybe if you working at an organization, become the supply chain managers, you should know. Okay, particularly when we talk about supply chain, definitely how you deal with the suppliers, how you deal with the customers, and make sure that there is actually minimal problem, or like we discussed yesterday, how we're going to deliver the product efficiently and effectively. Efficiently, that means we can produce within what we call it minimal time and then minimal cost, for example, but effectively we manage to deliver the product as demanded or wanted by the customers. Okay, so that's actually operation management. So we also need to know about the process, any activity or set of activity that takes one or more inputs, transform and add value to them and provide one or more outputs. So saya cakap tadi about when we talk about operation management, is about transformation process. Okay, so that means you should understand first of all how you preparing the business input or resources, and then when you have this kind of business input resources, the next part that you need to concern of basically the transformation process, how you transform, how you produce, okay, the output from the input. Okay, and then this is common business process. Saya perlukan terangkan ni lah. That means you should know indirectly this is like a process flow chart. Regardless which organization that you're going to work in the future, or even at a small organisation such as at the restaurant, contohnya you kerja dekat McDonald, you kerja dekat KFC dan sebagainya, dia mesti ada this kind of process flowchart. You kena tahulah. So what basically the first process until you manage to complete the process. Okay? So sama juga, so there are so many things that you can do in order to help you to manage the operation. For example, maybe you know that you need to prepare the Gantt chart, house of quality. That's actually the example lah. Okay, so I think we discussed this already, the quality and reliability. Quality, a measure of product that usually include performance and reliability. So you're going to make sure that if you produce a product, you should meet some specific, orang kata, specification or standard. That's actually quality lah. Okay, so in order to reflect this, that's why contohnya kita ada total quality management, kita ada ISO for example. Okay, kita ada halal certification. All of this is to ensure that the product that being produced by the company basically meet a certain standard of quality as well as is reliable. Okay, reliable, a measure of how long a product perform before it's failed. Okay, so when we talk is reliable or not, for example, if you buy a product, so how is actually lasting, contohnya in terms of the durability of the product. Okay, and then speed is a measure of lead time, on-time delivery, product development speed. I believe nowadays, because of technology, many of the things could be speed up faster than before. Okay, if you look before, for example, during my time, kalau I'm talking in terms of making a passport, dulu zaman saya nak buat passport, it take about 7 days. Zaman saya kecil dulu, 7 hari. And then sekarang ni passport, and then they improve ke 3 hari. Sekarang you buat passport berapa hari siap? Guys? Any one of you?
1 hari.
It's actually half day. Okay? Half day dah siap. Ya, dia kata taklah 1 jam. 1 jam tu. Actually 1 jam tu memang dia punya proses. But because of, you know, the queue, nak tunggu lama, biasanya half day lah. 3 jam is actually practical during not peak hours lah. Contohnya kalau kat Johor ni, saya tak tahulah sekarang, tapi previously kalau you want to renew passport or want to make passport, especially on Sunday, ramai orang cuti dan apa nama dia, apa kita panggil, UTC. Okay, UTC buka, time tu memang penuh. Okay, but normally half day dah siap. You see, so because of this, the process basically getting faster than before. Okay, and then flexibility is a measure of a firm ability to react to a customer needs quickly. So this is, for example, during the COVID-19, you need to be very lean or flexible with the environment. Okay, whatever happen, you should know how you're going to manage the scenario. For example, sekarang ni in Johor, we cannot dine in. Okay, macam semalam habis je kelas, saya terus pergi ke restoran. I'm meeting my friend lah, because that going to be the last, not the last lah, I mean sebab hari ni dia tak boleh dine in. Okay, you don't have any kind of leisure. Okay, for those people like in Malaysia yang duduk dekat mana yang kena PKP, Johor, Penang,
Melaka.
all yes, Melaka, all wilayah Persekutuan, Sabah. Betul kan? Okay, Penang kena, Johor, all the Federal Territory, okay, which is especially in KL and Putrajaya. Okay, so yang lain-lain, siapa sini duduk Terengganu? Anyone from Terengganu? Guys? Ada duduk Terengganu tak? Tak ada. Ada duduk selain siapa awak? Sekejap.
Saya.
So awak masih boleh makan dekat luar lah?
Alhamdulillah boleh.
Alhamdulillah, bagusnya. Pergi makan luar sekarang. Okay, tu contohnya lah. So dekat Johor tak boleh dah. So macam pagi tadi, yelah, saya pun macam, I actually misunderstood. Okay. So saya ingat sebab dalam dia punya apa namanya ucapan PM and then the guideline, dia kata boleh buat aktiviti bersenam. Okay, I can actually go for jogging lah. So saya cakap okay lah, pagi ni boleh jogging because all this time masih jogging seorang-seorang pun. Okay, bila saya nak jogging tempat saya, Tasik Merdeka tu tutup. And then baru saya realise rupanya taman rekreasi yang untuk jogging semua ni tutup. Okay, and then saya lalu lah, of course saya akan lalu mamak. Okay, from Tasik Merdeka to my house. Memang semua dah tutup lah dia punya restoran. That means you cannot actually dine in. Okay, so that means the company the business need to be flexible. Okay, need to be flexible. Nuri Izzah, awak duduk kat mana? Masih boleh, Alhamdulillah. Okay, nanti awak makan dekat restoran, awak upload kat gambar dekat WhatsApp, tunjuk kat semua. Okay, tunjuk kat kami ni, bagi jealous. Okay, so that's actually showing to you the business currently you need to embrace with the dynamic situation. Okay, dynamic situation. You cannot comfortable with what you have. You need to always adapt with the changes. Some orang kata what we call it. The only thing that basically doesn't change basically changes. Something yang changes is something yang very constant. Okay, so you need to always try to improve yourself, embrace with the changes. Tapi saya jual makanan. What do you mean, Iqbal? Iqbal, apa maksud awak? Tapi saya jual makanan. Maksudnya apa? Iqbal? Saya macam lost, tiba-tiba jual makanan.
Yang tadi.
Okay. So awak dekat mana?
Saya Kedah.
Oh, Kedah PKP ke? Iqbal? PKPB? Oh, tak dengar lah PKPB. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next part, we're going to discuss about the value add for a firm. Value add basically referring to which stakeholders that giving more interest to you lah, ataupun in running the business, you should know about the value add. That means all the activities that give a direct impact to the operation of your business. Kalau dilihat dekat sini, customers and suppliers definitely part of the value add, and then kita ada sales channel. So how you basically deliver what we call it the product to the customer, apa channel yang you pakai, and then customer service and relationship organization. More or less kalau tengok dekat sini we focusing on, kalau dalam BMC tu kita ada customer segment, kita ada customer relationship, kita ada channel. Dia dah tiga tu, dan all of this aspect basically referring to what extent the business could give the value. But we also cannot omit or cannot actually overlook the role of suppliers. Okay, because supplier also play an important role. To what extent supplier could accommodate, okay, with the need of your raw material, for example, you should know that. Okay, so yang ni saya pergi laju je. Ini contoh value of Cisco system. Okay, for them to develop this kind of product, definitely you tengok is very complicated. Kalau tengok kat sini macam value add dia nampak mudah kan, but in the real life or in the real practice, if you look here, you should understand to what extent customer give value to Cisco in terms of payment, and at the same time you also need to give value to the customers with regard to the CRM as well as delivery of the product. Itu contohnya lah. Okay, and then in terms of component suppliers, okay, Cisco dengan suppliers, Cisco akan bagi value kepada suppliers in terms of payment, and in return component suppliers akan bagi supply lah. Okay, so you tengok dekat sini. So that means we need to understand in running the business which parties or stakeholders could give the values in terms of the education of the main activities. Okay, so balance scorecard, dah pernah belajar tak balance scorecard ni sebenarnya? This is sebenarnya lama, zaman saya belajar pun dah ada balance scorecard, dah lama dah. Siapa pernah? You dah pernah belajar belum balance scorecard? Belajar dekat mana?
Yeah. Innovation management.
Innovation management. Oh, okay, good. Sebenarnya balance scorecard, the main subject would be quality management. Okay, quality management for us to actually for the company to safeguard the quality of the product and organisation, dia kena ada balance scorecard. Ada 4 elements. Apa 4 elemen dalam balance scorecard ni? There are 4 measurement ataupun metric. Metric dalam balance scorecard. Tahu tak apa dia punya metric tu? You remember ke tak ni? Balance scorecard is a set of measurement unique to the company that include both financial and operational metric. Oh, Yuman tak belajar lagi Tadi yang siapa jawab yang dah belajar tu? Saya lupa lah. Saya tak nampak. Anissa, dah belajar Anissa?
Tapi tak
Tapi tak ingat. Kalau keluar final exam macam mana? Tapi bukan keluar final exam kat sini. Tak. Okay, so basically you kena tahu lah balance scorecard ada 4 aspek. Customers, okay, perspektif sini, okay. So definitely first of all you should know about customers. How should we appear to our customers? So here you should know first of all who is your customers and to what extent you could build a good reputation from among your customers. Okay, so having said that, you should know about apa benda yang menyebabkan customer satisfied. What basically the thing that make the customer satisfied, okay, with your offering, with your product, with your service. And then you should know about the market share. You cannot, having said that, you simply don't cater everyone. Okay, so you should specify who is your target market and to what extent you're able to have this kind of share. Contohnya, when we're talking in terms of Apple, Huawei, talking about phone. So dia ada dia punya market share. Dia tak control semua. Okay? Okay, so that's actually one part, customer perspective. So you should know if you run a business, so who is your customers? So to what extent you want to build this kind of branding or image from the eyes of the customers. The next part, we discuss about the business operation perspective. At what business must we excel? Okay, so in order for you to do that, for example, if you actually producing smartphone, everyone producing smartphone. So what make your product different than others? So to what extent the operation of your business could enhance this? So this is where the quality, the awards, the accreditation, macam saya cakap semalam, the ISO, the halal certificate, okay, showing to you. This is where the business operation perspective is very good at. That means you could simply say that you're producing a very quality product. Okay, for example, if you're producing like electronic devices, okay, so you should make sure that in Malaysia you get approval from SIRIM. That's showing that you meet the standard and it's safe to be used by the customers. Okay, so that's business operation. And then we go to the next part, financial perspective. How should we appear to our shareholders? So definitely shareholders want to have some kind of returns. Okay, so here we focusing on return on equity. Return on equity for example, that's why kalau you contohnya return on equity normally in term of dividend lah. Contohnya you actually become the shareholders. You'll be part of the company's owners. So definitely in return, you expecting to receive this kind of dividend, return on equity, return on asset, for example, and profitability. So the shareholders definitely they want the business to be profitable. Okay, but not only that. For example, ada juga yang certain orang they join the business because of they want to possess the technology. Okay. And then from the technology usage, they can gain some kind of financial return. Okay. So last but not least, which is very important when we talk about this, that's the reason why kita banyak belajar benda dekat total quality management, because dalam total quality management, we are focusing on the element of continuous improvement. So as a business organization, you should be able to improve your business operation, the quality of your product, the talent that you have from time to time. So this is where the learning and growth perspective come into picture. How should we sustain our ability to change and improve? Okay, like I said before, the business environment is very dynamic. The competition is very stiff nowadays. There are a lot of newcomers in the industry, and the technology basically change very fast. Technology advancements changing very fast. If you look here, kan? So you tak boleh stick. Okay, so that means you need to embrace, you need to learn new process, new product. Even macam UTM pun cannot cope lah for me. There are too many things, very dynamic. Even minggu ni, saya dalam WhatsApp group dorang je, saya tengok dorang tak berhenti bekerja simply because hari Sabtu pun kena meeting because of COVID, PKP ni lah. And then they start to think of what will be next, because you hanya cuti 2 minggu je kan. You tahu kan, nanti bila you habis final exam you habis bila? Adik-adik semua, bila habis final exam? When?
22nd.
Oh, my paper ke? Oh my goodness. Betul? 22 tu paper saya lah kan?
Betul.
Saya rasa stres. Saya yang stres, awak tak stres. Awak 22, awak dah habis, awak habis. Saya tak habis, betul tak? Saya kena tanda paper awak lagi. Lepas tu nak kena buat report. Okay. Then you going to resume the new semester. Bila you dah tahu tak? Bila you start new semester? Bila you start new semester? 14 March. Yes, 14 of March. Okay. So that means you masih ada lagi lah 3 minggu untuk pursue career, leisure, berliburan dan sebagainya. But saya tak ada masa. Bayangkan kalau 22 habis, saya nak tanda paperwork dalam masa seminggu. Kena buat report. Kemudian nak kena prepare for next semester. My goodness. It's such a headache. Not for you lah, for me. Okay? Because dalam masa 3 minggu tu, that means sebelum semester start, result dah kena ada. And then benda tu definitely, it's going to be very fast. Simply because you kena faham proses lepas you dah habis jawab soalan, saya kena tanda, and then kita kena buat meeting di peringkat panel, jabatan, fakulti, and then fakulti bawa ke universiti bawa ke senat. You punya tu endorse, barulah result you boleh keluar. Okay, so this is normally it's a very lengthy process, but due to this kind of 3 weeks, my goodness, it's going to be challenging lah. Okay, that's the reason why kita kena embrace lah. So how the company, this is from the technology based company lah, going to do that? Kalau learning and growth, you kena pergi training. Contoh, dia tak masuk kat sini, sorry. Okay, you kena pastikan dia punya what we call it, talent tu kena pergi training. Okay, and then new product every year. That means must make sure that the research is ongoing and you're able to improve your product. Okay, normally you must make sure that your product is 3 times, at least 2 or 3 times better than the previous punya or existing product. And then pattern, okay, contohnya, okay, pattern, which is, yes, agak susah lah untuk pattern sebenarnya. Pattern definitely take time. Okay, tak apa, nanti kalau saya tak syarat dah seminggu 2 minggu sebelum habis kelas ni, saya nak you fikirkan, saya dah suruh awak semalam kan, fikirkan for your apps macam mana dia punya copyright, to what extent basically the ownership of the copyright, and then make sure you also try to find the novelty. Bila kita nak copyright, dia tak macam pattern lah, pattern lagi complicated. At least we should know to what extent benda tu baru and bring benefit. You fikirkan nanti in term of you punya apps. Okay, copyright, nanti saya nak tanya sebab saya rasa student boleh copyright, nanti saya nak tanya dekat ICC in case kita cuba je, because I want you to learn about the process of copyright. Tak susah pun, but kena isi few form lah. I try to contact ICC to confirm regarding this, to what extent your business idea and your so-called initial prototype tu boleh di copyright. Okay, at least you ada something lah from this class. Okay, and then Gantt ni tak susah pun buat. You guna Excel normally. Okay, paling mudah buat Gantt, guna Excel. It's better, okay, because you boleh buat, for example, task, you need to list out how many tasks or activities that you need to conduct from A until E, for example, as well as the timeline. Okay, most probably kalau you belajar project management, ada belajar tak project management? Guys, you belajar tak project management?
Belum lagi.
Okay, so contohnya kalau belajar project management, maybe you ada belajarlah sedikit apps ataupun application yang boleh pakai, contohnya macam Microsoft Word dan sebagainya, Microsoft Project. Okay, so saya pergi laju, example roadmap, ni more or less lebih kurang sama je lah what you have learned before. Okay, contohnya you start new firm and then you start to form the team, okay, and then you do this kind of product R&D, initial product prototype. For our class, kita pergi sampai sini je sebenarnya. Okay, maybe paling laju pun kat sini je, test and market research. Okay, at least we learn something. That means you have this kind of initial product prototype research your apps. Okay, because kalau you tengok dekat sini, semuanya ambil masa, going to take some time. You need to test and market research. But I advise you kan to conduct a very lean, very quick, very fast market research. At least you should know to what extent the customer want your product. The next part, you develop the features and make sure whether the product that you develop, your app, is actually wanted. So the next stage untuk minggu ni, semua dah ada apps kan, you kena tunjukkan you punya app tu dekat you punya potential customer, siapa yang akan pakai, and try to get the feedback. Okay, from that barulah ini part of the validation and then part of how you going to improve. Boleh tak? Okay, dalam seminggu ni saya nak awak try to conduct a very quick test ataupun and market research. Okay, at least you're going to improve. Okay, final product and marketing plan. Okay, ada certain company dia dah sometimes tak what we call it, tak habis benda tu, dia dah start actually buat soft launch ataupun soft marketing punya activities in order to highlight that they are doing something. That's quite normal. Kalau you tengok, mesti dah ada ura-ura macam iPhone. Dia dah boleh expect bulan 9 atau bulan 10 tahun ini 2021 the new iPhone will be launched. Contoh. Bukan contoh, this the real. Diorang dah speculate dah. Okay? Okay, and then acquire self force, okay, and then launching of the product, and then benda ni nampak aja macam mudah, but to build sale and service definitely going to take some time. Barulah you can go to the initial sales. Okay. Okay, so the principle that I'm going to highlight here, the design and management of an efficient, kita dah terangkan sebelum ni, real-time set of production. Okay, because currently everything basically could be monitored through system. Logistical. Okay, contoh kalau kata real time, even logistical pun kita tahu. Contoh you pun tahu, you sekarang ni, if you buy anything from Shopee, from Lazada, you can track dekat mana benda tu berada. Am I right? Dia boleh tahu dia dekat Johor ke, dia dekat hub, dia punya logistic hub dan sebagainya, because everything could be simply tracked through the IoT punya system. Okay, especially sekarang dia pakai GPS lah. And then a business processes, okay, can be a sustainable competitive advantage for any firm. Having said that, managing an efficient operation management is very crucial, okay, because by having this kind of good processor, definitely you can outbid your competitors. Okay, and then I think that's all for today. Kita dah habis lah. Okay, operation management, you kena tahu the aspect. This topic, dia taklah mendalam, but you should know what basically the key aspect of operation management, and then to what extent, for example, okay, you kena what we call it, focus on operation management, for example, like in managing your business. Contohnya, sebenarnya operation ni more or less you kena fikirkan 5M mula-mula, okay. You kena tahu kalau you buat operation planning, okay, to run a business, you kena masuk in term of manpower planning, okay, in term of machine yang you nak beli, contohnya, in term of what kind of method that you going to conduct or employ for the production, contohnya, okay. And then location you kena masukkan juga, for example. So having said that, you kena tahu the basic element of operation management, because this topic will be assessed in your final exam. Tu je saya beritahu. Okay, faham topik ni akan masuk final exam. At least you should know the key concept. Saya tak terangkan mana satu akan keluar. Sebenarnya tak perlu mendalam pun, saya tak fokus, tapi at least you should understand why it's very important. And if you want to what we call, for example, if you want to develop a business plan, you want to plan on something, if someone seeking your assistance or your advice, what aspect that need to be focused on, what aspect of operation management that need to be focused on by the firm in order to create this kind of competitive advantage. You kena tahu benda tu. Okay? Okay, so ada soalan tak semua? Oh, hari ni okay lah, lajulah juga saya bagi. Okay, any question? So apa yang you kena buat untuk next week?
Market research.
Yeah. Yeah, dia part of market research. Market research is very big. That means you dah ada prototype kan. Sekarang ni you kena dapatkan feedback from the potential customers. Contohnya tak
berapa ramai?
Ikut awak lah. Tapi make sure orang yang awak approach tu ialah someone that going to use the product. Maybe, okay, someone, maybe you boleh tanyalah someone yang expert, okay, in that field first. Secondly, someone that going to use the product. Okay. Third, maybe technical person, maybe you boleh tanya orang. In the future, you kena tahu juga, even though, I nak you tahu, even though you punya ni adalah bukannya based on programming punya language, you hanya buat something yang memang dah drag and drop punya apps, but at least you should get understand what's next. Contohnya, you in the future, kalau you nak actually go or develop the apps for a full-fledged punya apps, so what need to be done? So that means you kena hiring programmer. So what aspect that you kena actually improve, you kena tahu, okay? So what you have shown to me, saya rasa ada 2 kumpulan belum share lagi. Satu tu saya lupa nak bagi komen, nanti saya bagi. Okay, ada 2 kumpulan yang belum bagi. Tolong bagi you punya ni, what we call layout macam yang group lain tu. Saya rasa group Hazel dengan group Christopher yang dah bagi, and lagi seorang saya lupa group siapa. Ada lagi 2 group boleh bagi you punya layout. Saya nak tengok benda tu. At least yelah, I can give some feedback in term of the layout, in term of the branding, colour dan sebagainya. Do we need to do report? Yes. Saya rasa saya ada share kan contoh report. saya tak bagi outline, remind saya akan bagi outline tu nanti. Tapi saya ada bagi contoh report kan? Kejap ya. Ada ke tak ada guys? Saya pernah ada bagi.
Tak ada.
Tak ada? Seriously tak ada? Okay, saya terlupa kejap ya. Oh yes, tak ada. Okay, kejap. Saya bagi sekarang, kejap ya. Nanti sebelum saya terlupa dalam WhatsApp. Kejap. Sebentar ya. Wait a moment sebelum break kelas ni. Okay, this is actually your senior punya example. Nanti saya akan bagi tapi benda ni actually you can use a guide. Nanti saya akan bagi finalize punya guide. Wait mana? Apa? Okay, I give to you. Ni 2019, student saya tahun lepas. Yelah tahun lepas. Tahun ni 2000, that means the assignment 2020 lah sebenarnya. Nanti saya bagi lagi beberapa contoh. Okay. So, saya nak, okay dah dapat belum? Can you check your WhatsApp right now? Okay. So, I will give you the new guideline. Okay, nanti by this week saya akan bagi. So, you can start actually looking at the sample, report sample. At least you know how to arrange the content and the flow of your report. As long as it can show the, what we call it, the background of the company, the, what we call it, the features of the product, okay, what the strength of the product, and you also need to run the competitive advantage, and you need to describe. Kalau tengok dari situ, you kena juga describe the product. That's actually fair enough lah. And then cuma saya nak tambah nanti ada reflection. Yang dalam group lama ni tak ada 2019 kan. Okay, kali ni saya nak masukkan reflection nanti. Okay, I think you can refer to that one first. I'm going to share with you nanti the latest guide. Okay, any questions so far, guys?
So doctor, is the report like this not the written report lah, like long?
No.
Okay.
For my class, you kena guna Canva macam gitu, professional. Semua
Okay.
student saya semua macam gitu. Okay? Okay, so that's why you kena main lah. Even, okay, contoh. Saya nak ajar awak, for example, even you making an apps, you need to be creative and play with a professional image. Sebab tu, jangan letak colour yang banyak. Kalau you punya apps tu, kalau you tengok macam A-Asia, dia pakai merah. Dia akan pakai apps dia merah, semua merah. Then dia very simple dan professional. Saya nak macam gitu. Kalau Grab hijau. Gojek for example, dia just using green colour. So dia punya apps ke, dia punya apa, dia akan green juga. You must make sure that how you going to come up with this kind of app. Even nanti your report, kalau you dah pilih colour hijau, report you pun kena colour hijau. Barulah nampak, oh, this is actually a very professional report, as well as the app that you develop is something that marketable. Okay, ataupun very attractive enough lah to be seen by the customers. Okay, any questions so far, guys? Ada soalan lain? So, saya rasa itu sahaja untuk hari ini. Thank you very much. Due date hujung bulan ni. Oh, ada 2 minggu lagi. Hujung bulan ni. Ataupun tak apalah. Kalau you... saya ni boleh je. Awak rasa bila boleh submit? Kita negotiate lah, kita negotiate. Awak rasa bila boleh submit? 30 Januari boleh? Januari, setuju? Saya tanya je, saya ikut je. Setuju, okey. So, kalau gitu 30 Januari, kita akan ada submission ni. So, more or less hari ni berapa bulan adik-adik semua? 13. Dia lebih kurang 2 minggu lah, more or less 2 minggu lebih. Okay, for you to complete. Sebenarnya you dah ada dah, ada elemen, you dah buat sikit-sikit. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all for today. So I'm going to share again the attendance. Before that, buka kamera semua. Sebelum saya check attendance ni, kita buat housekeeping supaya saya sentiasa ingat muka-muka you all. Where is it? Yuman, awak pergi mana semalam? Saya panggil nama awak 2-3 kali. Where are you? Where were you yesterday? Hilang balik Yuman.
Huh?
Ada semalam, ada siapa semalam seorang tu? Tak ada hari ni. Siapa nama dia?
Luffy.
Mana Lutfi? Semalam dia tak ada sampai keluar pun, sampai sampai yang kan saya dah suruh awak left, dia tak left pun lagi. Dia tak nak left tapi dia tak ada. Macam mana tu? Kejap, saya nak panggil dia dalam WhatsApp. Lutfi mana? Okay, kejap ya. Kejap. Buka kamera dulu. Semalam saya Lutfi. Lutfi ada tak ni? Siapa grup Lutfi? Kalau dulu kan dalam kelas, sekarang tak ada kelas lah kan. Dalam kelas dulu, siapa pernah masuk kelas saya, siapa yang tak hadir saya akan tanya team members dia, mana dia pergi. Tapi time tu, you duduk college lah, so at least you can trace. Right now semua kat rumah kan. Okay, mana Luffy? Siapa team member Luffy? Siapa team member Luffy? Okay, tak apalah. Saya ambil gambar dulu. Saya nak Atikah mana muka awak? Atikah, tak nampak. Wan Naziha, Lip Pink, Iqbal. Iqbal mana Iqbal? Iqbal. Atikah Wante, where are you Atikah? Okay, senyum semua. Alah, tak nampak muka lah. Naufal Tu Naufal ke? Mana awak punya mulut? Okay, yes. Betulkan sikit. 1, 2, 3. Okay guys, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Take care everyone. Okay, so I'm going to share. You can leave the session if you have scanned the attendance. And right now I'm going to share the attendance again for those who missed the first session. Okay, boleh scan semula. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.